There was something in the air, a silent tension that Rachel couldn't quite explain. At 51 years old, with a marriage that had lasted more than 2 decades, she should have felt serene, secure. But inside her, a void stirred, a dull call pushing her beyond the boundaries of her daily life. Maybe it was nostalgia for what she hadn't experienced, maybe the unconfessed desire to feel desired again. And so, step by step, without even realizing it, she found herself walking a path she never thought she would take. But before discovering how this story turned Rachel's life upside down, take a moment. If you love intense stories full of emotions and plot twists, subscribe to the channel. Here, you'll find stories that will keep you glued to the screen until the very last moment. Rachel had married young. He had been her first love, the only man she had ever known in that way. Together, they had built a family, raised 2 now adult children, though they were absent, lost in their studies and new lives. The house was large, the days passed slowly and predictably, and, without anyone noticing, passion had given way to habit. 10 years earlier, a thought had started creeping into her mind. She wasn't unhappy, but she wasn't happy either. She needed to feel the thrill of desire again, the pleasure to explore sides of herself that had lain dormant for too long. At first, they were just fantasies, daydreams that remained locked in her imagination. But then, one day, she decided to turn those thoughts into reality. The internet offered her the chance to explore without having to step out into the open. First on forums, then on dating sites, Rachel began chatting with other men, letting herself be carried away by seductive words and attentions she no longer received. She had never stopped loving her husband. In fact, coming home after one of those encounters made her feel even more connected to him. Perhaps because, in the end, she knew he was the one she truly wanted to be with. Or at least, so she thought. Over the course of 5 years, she met about 10 men. She wasn't looking for quantity, but quality. Some she saw only once, others she met a few times, but she never developed real feelings. What fascinated her the most was the anticipation, the adrenaline of secret messages, the thrill of the unknown. And then, all of a sudden, everything stopped. A year earlier, she had started talking to a man who seemed different from the others. He made her laugh, understood her without her having to explain too much. He seemed to know every nuance of her soul, yet not in a way that felt unsettling. Their conversations had become an essential part of her days. The more time passed, the more she wanted to see him. But every time they scheduled a meeting, something went wrong. He wasn't available, or she had to reschedule. It felt like fate was playing with them. And now, I want to hear from you. Do you believe destiny plays a real role in our lives, or do you think we create it ourselves day by day? Write your thoughts in the comments. I'm curious to know what you think. After months of waiting and passionate messages, they finally managed to set a date. Rachel was thrilled. She went to the hotel with her heart pounding in her chest, imagining this man she had come to know so well without ever having seen him. She opened the door to the room and stopped. In front of her was her husband. Time froze. Every cell in her body screamed in surprise, panic, and confusion. Her husband was there, sitting, waiting for her. He didn't need words to explain. He was the man she had been talking to for months. He had courted her with a fake profile, without her recognizing him. He had discovered everything and decided to wait. The hours that followed were a mix of tears, muffled words, and painful truths. Her husband explained that he had heard rumors, suspicions that had reached him through friends and colleagues. Something inside him told him he had to find out the truth. So, he had created a fake identity on the dating site and waited. Finding her profile had been easy. There were details only he would have recognized. And then he waited for her to find him. He had no plan, no idea what he would do if the truth came out. But then, speaking to her under false pretenses, he rediscovered something about himself and their relationship. He felt the thrill of winning her over again, of making her desire him, and at the same time, the pain of knowing he was no longer the one who made her feel alive. They stayed together all night, but not in the way Rachel had imagined. They talked, they told each other everything, they laid themselves bare like never before. He listened, suffered, understood. She apologized, opened up, admitted everything she felt. The next morning, they were still there, closer than they had been in years. That's when they made a decision. They wouldn't leave each other, but they couldn't be the same couple they had been before. They had to rebuild their love, lay new foundations for something that had crumbled over time. They started writing to each other again, just as they had in the early months of their relationship. They sent messages, photos, fantasies, and slowly, the desire began to reignite. Now, it's your turn. Do you think betrayal can be the beginning of something new? Is it possible to rebuild after such a big mistake? Share your thoughts in the comments. In the end, this story teaches us something fundamental. Often, what we seek outside is already beside us. But to rediscover it, we must have the courage to look within ourselves, face our fears, and truly communicate. Maybe, like Rachel and her husband, we can find the spark again right where we thought we had lost it.